I believe in two things. One, Andrew Carnegie said, "He who dies with wealth dies in shame." And someone said, "He who gives while he lives also knows where it goes."
There's no one quite so civic-minded in America. Eli Broad and his wife Edie have become paparazzi pets because of the money they lavish on Los Angeles. So far, more than $500 million.
Since that 60 Minutes profile aired last year, Eli Broad and his foundations have continued pouring millions of dollars into art, education reform, and scientific research.
This week, he unveils his latest project. It is a book called The Art of Being Unreasonable.
Yeah.
We're pleased to have Eli Broad in Studio 57. Why'd that title, The Art of Being Unreasonable?
Well, after I was married a few years, my wife gave me a plaque. And what it said was, from George Bernard Shaw, "The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends upon the unreasonable man."
I think he's saying he's unreasonable, don't you?
Yes, I think so too, Charlie. The very first line in the book, Eli Broad says, "I am unreasonable." Now, most people think being unreasonable is a cranky Yankee, but there is really a method to how you operate.
There's an art to being unreasonable. You just can't be unreasonable to be unpleasant.
Yes.
You have to be unreasonable to get something done.
But somebody said to me over the weekend, except for Eli Broad being unreasonable, there would not be a Disney Hall in Los Angeles designed by Frank Gehry, which has become a landmark in Los Angeles.
I think that's true. Everyone said, "Oh, the design's so complicated, it'll never be built, it'll cost too much money." But I, together with my friend Dick Rudin, who was then mayor, said, "We've got to get this done."
The feeling of satisfaction that it gave you to do something where people said it can't be done, that really is kind of how you look at life. Why not? When somebody says something to you, your instant response is, why not? And let's do it.
That's correct. People tell you you can't do it. It hasn't been done
before.
It's not conventional. And I'd say, why not? Explain it to me.
You have become Mr. Los Angeles, I mean, in many people's eyes because of Disney, because of other things. What is your vision of the city, and what do you want to see it be?
Los Angeles is a great city. It's a great meritocracy where someone like myself could come there almost 50 years ago without the right family, the right politics, the right religion, etc., and you can get stuff done if you're smart and willing to spend a lot of time.
But you also want to make it a cultural capital.
I sure do. I sure do.
You also said you've made a lot of money. You're a very wealthy guy, but you said you want to die poor. You've said that before. Do you still feel that way?
I do.
Your children feel the same about you dying poor? They're like, wait, Dad, let's think about that for a second.
They've got enough.
They're doing okay?
They'll get by without our giving them anything.
You are one more man, and the late Mike Wallace said the same thing, about spending more time with their children. Do you regret that?
I do regret it. I do regret it. I did not have a great work-home balance. I worked all the time. And I do regret that.
Yeah, but you had one thing that all of us wished for. There was no real distinction between work and play for you. You enjoyed what you did, so therefore it wasn't like night and day.
That's correct. And I enjoy what I'm doing now, working harder than ever at our foundation.
And how do you choose what you give away? You do education, you do medicine, you do art. Those are the three primary beneficiaries.
That's correct.
Why those?
Well, it started, we always wrote checks even before I left the world of commerce, but starting 12 years ago, when we merged our company AIG for $18 billion. Right.
That's 18 with a B.
Yeah,
18 with a B. Okay. We ended up with a fair amount of money that I put in our foundation.
But a lot of art for that.
Yes.
Sure can. And I said, what is the biggest problem facing America? Having traveled the world, China, India, Korea, and elsewhere, I said, our kids aren't getting the education these kids are getting. Yeah. And we're falling further and further behind.
Yeah.
We used to have the #1 graduation rate in America. It's now 20th or 25th.
No, it's appalling in this country. But when you were a little kid starting out, did you say, I want to be rich, I want to be successful? You said you were an only child, so you spent a lot of lonely time.
I never thought of being rich.
You didn't?
No.
One of the things he always says is stay curious.
Mission
I am
accomplished.
curious. I read
Eli.
4 newspapers a day.
Now, are you going to buy the LA Times?
Look, the LA Times ought to become should be owned by wealthy families or foundations in Los Angeles.
Are you going to buy the LA Times?
If others are interested in buying the LA Times, I would probably join them.
Okay.
This book is called The Art of Being Unreasonable. It is now on sale, just published. Thank you, Eli.